I was like, it would probably help if I turn the volume up. That's okay. We'll edit that out later. 3, 2, 1. What's going on, guys? You're checking out an all new, the RCWR show. We are covering AEW Dynamite Fallout for October 30th, 2019, as this is your AEW Dynamite October 30th, 2019 review, but we're also covering NXT October 30th, 2019 Fallout, as we're reviewing that as well. Hardest working man over here, man, Lee Sanders. I mean, look, we were just here Monday night. We did all new RCWR show. And then Tuesday night, even though we didn't do a show, I was actually remixing and editing Monday's show for on demand and on the downloads. And then I was editing the Patreon edition of Wrestling with the Topics. Both of those now out there. And then here we are doing Wednesday's coverage. We got to turn right back around late Thursday afternoon to cover Crown Jewel. And I got to give some picks for Crown Jewel. We're going to do that on this episode because we kind of teased that Monday that we were going to be talking about it here on the Wednesday show. So we got Crown Jewel Thursday. Friday, I'm covering SmackDown. And then Saturday, I'm covering Wild Women of Wrestling. So we got ourselves a nice busy week that's going to be coming up. If you ask me when, I'm probably going to be taking some type of a break. I think it just really depends what's going on during Thanksgiving week. Maybe that might be a nice time to take a little bit of a nice, well-deserved vacation. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But kick on back, relax, enjoy that nice, tall, cool one. I got my Nationals hat on because this is it. I know everybody's like, the World Series, lowest ratings, lowest viewership, yada, 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 yada. Like, man, I don't care. I don't care. I'm over here in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. I just love the fact that Mystics, they were able to do their thing. The Capitals, they were able to do their thing before that. And then now we got the Washington Nationals. They could. So I'm wearing my hat. I'm hoping by wearing my Nationals hat, that's going to bring them a little bit of luck, man. I'm hoping. Last I saw, it was 0-2 Astros way, but, man, still a lot of fight left in the Nationals, so we'll see what they're going to be able to do, man. See if we're able to give you guys one more update before we get ready to wrap it up. All right, so look. AEW, NXT tonight. Man, I'm not focusing so much on the whole ratings thing. I know people want to be tripping over that, but, like, man, I say let's just wait until we at least got 3 months body of work just to see what's going on with the shows. I am aware, though, that AEW's been getting the upper hand consecutively since they've been making their debut. So, I mean, that's great for them. Can they keep that momentum going 2 months from now, 3 months from now, 6 months from now? That's the real story right there. So, I mean, we'll wait and see. But as far as talking about quality for tonight's shows, man, I gotta give the edge a bit more, right? And look, you want to come to a place that's about clarity. You want to come to a place that's about sincerity. You in the right place, right? You know, I'm not doing the whole dick sucking trying to get a job anywhere from many of these promotions, right? So this is as unbiased as it can possibly get. But if you're asking me straight up, Lee, who had the better product tonight? I would say to you, well, it depends, because NXT was lacking in just a couple of areas where AEW shined better, but then vice versa. But if you were to ask me who had the overall better product tonight as far as quality goes, I gotta give the edge more to NXT. Of course, it may not exactly reflect that in this week's ratings, just saying. But as far as the better quality in the product goes, yeah, man, NXT, they definitely had it tonight. So I definitely got to give them the edge. And I mean, really, in my mind, one of the things that stands out most is how they really showcased the hell out of their women's division. That really shined for me the most. I mean, of course, off and on these past several weeks, anytime you're watching NXT, the women always have a great marquee spot on these shows, and that was happening long before NXT had even came to the USA Network. But to WWE's credit, had they been amping it up even more with NXT these past several weeks since it's been on the USA Network? Yes, it has, without a shadow of doubt about that. So for me though, this week, I would say the way NXT had positioned their women's matches, homing in on key females on that roster in order to ultimately set up the War Games. There's going to be a first ever all women's War Games. I'm ecstatic for that. I'm so ecstatic for that. I mean, aside from NXT Last Woman Standing match, we're also going to be having the first ever all women's War Games match. Yeah, man, sign me up. I am all down for that. So look, let's talk about some of these things that had happened on tonight's show, and you'll kind of get a little bit of a sense of what I'm talking about just by going over the card for some of these things that went down. So like, to the point about the whole women really shining and dominating on NXT tonight, right? You got everything kicking off with the baby metal pop sensation Poppy, and I mean, look, to each its own. I know there's a lot of people that are big fans of Poppy and everything. I mean, me specifically, you would think that would be up my alley since I like Ellie Bush. I like blonde redhead. I'm in the garbage and, you know, whole Courtney Love, you know, Kitty. You would think this would kind of be like up my alley, but you know, to each its own. It's not really my cup of tea, the music. I don't particularly care for it, but God bless everybody else that does mess with that music, but it's just not my cup of tea, all right? Don't mean we can't be friends, yo, but it's just not my cup of tea. But to have Poppy open it up and everything, you're like, okay, this is good. This is what's popping. Okay, great. And as you got all of that going down, you've got Poppy setting up a great match that was going down between Io Shirai taking on Candice LeRae. That was a fantastic matchup. It actually I want to say that match had either went one whole segment or it was actually given two segments, right? Meanwhile, you flip the channel, you go on over to AEW, you try to see what they're doing over there, right? You got AEW opening up with Adam Page taking on Sammy Guevara. Now look, man, in these respective blocks head to head, these first segments, I gotta tell you, for me, it really felt like a tie. If I had to give a little bit of a slight edge, I'd be tempted to give a little bit of a nudge to Io Shirai taking on Candice LeRae, but it really feels like it was neck to neck a tie, especially as far as the quality of those matches go. The quality is really what you gotta home in on, man. But yeah, both of those fantastic. Adam Page picking up the win over Sammy Guevara. And look, anybody that has been a fan of Adam Page, I know there are a lot of people that were rooting for Adam Page to become the first ever AEW World Heavyweight Champion and everything. And a lot of people were disappointed that Jericho had won and everything. As a matter of fact, I remember some of my colleagues, I remember some of my own listeners, and all the rounds on social media, people were bashing the hell out of Jericho becoming the first ever AEW champion. It was crazy. People did not like the fact that here you had this old man, damn near close to 50, that's the champion, when AEW is supposed to be about that new millennial promotion, right? They're supposed to be about that life. They're supposed to be about ushering in the newer fans, right? It is supposed to be about elevating the younger talent and everything. And here you got damn near 50-year-old Jericho as your first ever AEW champion. A lot of people weren't really feeling that. And I remember the scathing, bashing reviews that people were given as a result of Jericho winning. But then you could flip it. And luckily, we were of a few shows out there that was very pro Chris Jericho. And see, it's one thing to be pro Jericho when the actual pay-per-view went down and Jericho won, and then all of a sudden you're being proactive. But to our credit here at the RCWR show, we were pro Jericho winning like weeks, if not a couple of months before things had went down at All Out. I mean, we were very complimentary of Jericho, explaining all the reasons why it made sense from the PR and marketing standpoint to go with Jericho. And I'm not going to rehash all that right now. I mean, honestly, I would say anybody that's a newer listener coming on board, you know, a newer fan coming on board, you're more than welcome to check out the archives. And after you hear what I said and how I laid everything down, you got to be in agreement. And I mean, to add testament to that, come on now, Jericho with a little bit of the bubbly, right? And then the newest joint, but I purchased a ticket, right? Now he's trending again tonight because he came out in a pumpkin blazer. I mean, I've seen some interesting costumes in my day, but a pumpkin blazer, I mean, only somebody like Chris Jericho can rock something like that, get people talking and everything like that, right? So, you know, sadly, you wouldn't have all of this great gifts, BuzzFeed, all of that with a guy like Adam Page. However, very quick to defend Adam Page, I was early on. I said, look, Adam Page is going to be one bona fide superstar in AEW, without a shadow of doubt. He is a bona fide future, good, strong babyface for that company. And AEW bookers, they just got to stay the course with him, continue to tell that nice, great story and everything, do their best to establish him as a main eventer. And yeah, when the timing is right, let him chase after Jericho again for that championship. As I always say on the show from time to time, the chase is better than the catch. So keeping all of that in mind and seeing Adam Page out here taking on Sammy Guevara, you knew this was going to be a classic. I mean, you've been watching the AEW Dynamite product this long now. You just recently saw what Guevara was able to do against Cody, and that was a phenomenal matchup, right? So this was definitely a classic encounter that I love. Adam Page picking up the win. I love the final sequence there towards the end and everything as they were doing signature moves on each other. Page just coming right back almost instantly with that nice devastating clothesline and everything. But post-match, Page picking up the microphone. Page walking into a segment there where the fans are now, oh yeah, we like that. And the line that he had dropped, he basically was talking about he knows he's been at the receiving end of losses as of late, but that now it's all about trying to be refocused, trying to put himself in a position where he can eventually become AEW World Heavyweight Champion and everything. And the line he dropped that had the whole crowd there in attendance erupting, he said, I'm on my cowboy shit, right? He's like, I'm doing my cowboy shit. So it was something along those lines, and the fans were actually chanting the hell out of that. And you're going, wow, okay, so this is a brilliant little spot right here. And by the way, cowboy shit, that actually did not get bleeped out in any type of way. So imagine me kicking back watching TNT and I'm hearing this and I'm going, wow, you know, as long as I've been watching TNT. Now, some people would say, well, wait a minute, Lee, you know, you got shows like Claws and other shows. Well, sadly, most of those shows on TNT, I've only watched a small handful of episodes. So for me to hear that type of, oh, they're letting that slide on TNT, hey, that's refreshing to my ears. I'm not complaining, so don't get it twisted, but that's refreshing to my ears to hear that. But yeah, WWE and Adam Page tonight, they stumbled into, hey, Adam Cole's first, I'm sorry, not Adam Cole, Adam Page. Did I say Adam Cole beforehand? If I did, I apologize. Hey man, Adam Page. Adam Page walked into a beautiful marketing ploy here because he did the whole cowboy shit. Fans were chanting the hell out of that. Okay, there you go. There's your new t-shirt for Adam Page, right? Just how you were able to just pleasantly, surprisingly walk into Jericho's little bit of the bubbly, and then you walk into the, but I bought a ticket, right? There you go. You got something there for freaking Hangman Page. So, I mean, that's awesome. It's stuff like that and a little bit of the mean streak, a little bit of a more serious demeanor to Adam Page that we saw tonight. You know, a little bit of grit to him, right? That's the type of stuff that we need to, I think, eventually see him rise up to the ranks and one day become a AEW World Heavyweight Champion, right? Yeah, he may not be the first AEW World Champion, but as far as potentially being the second, third, or fourth champion in the company's history, oh yeah, without a shadow of doubt, Hangman Page, I would definitely rank him pretty high up there. If you were to tell me, basically, it's what, October, we're pretty much going into November. If you were to tell me by April of 2020 that, well, actually, no, let's say May. If you were to tell me by May of 2020, Hangman Adam Page is still not the AEW World Heavyweight Champion, I would kind of be a little bit concerned. I legitimately would be a little bit concerned, wondering what's going on, right? If he's not the AEW World Heavyweight Champion, or has at least been chasing after the AEW World Heavyweight Champion for a couple of months leading into May of 2020, I would just, what's going on with Paige? You know, what's going on with the booking? I would question. But both of those, from both shows in their opening segments for those blocks, they both did relatively strong. They hit home runs as far as I was concerned. Now, your second block was very interesting. Your second block from AEW, you had a girl by the name of Shayna, and I gotta tell you, I was interacting with some of the boys in the Discord, and I tell you what, man, Shayna had a lot of us talking. We were really putting her over, just from cosmetically. She's beautiful. I mean, she's very, very beautiful. And when I say cosmetically, I don't mean she didn't, as far as I could tell, she didn't do anything as far as enhancement and all that to her face and body. We just were tripping over how pretty she looks, just so gorgeous, right? And no, this isn't the case where a lot of us need to get laid. It's just you just watch the next match and you're like, oh my God, you know, who is that? She is. And shout out to, God, I can't remember who it was that had found the handle and everything, but I know she's got an Instagram, Shayna Mania. You gotta forgive me. I just put some new aligners in here, so I'm trying to break them in. I literally put these in about 2 hours ago, so I'm gonna be fumbling with some words a little bit till I'm able to really break them in good. I should be good in about a couple of days. Shayna Mania. That's her handle on Instagram. And for those of you that happen to see this match and you're trying to figure out, you know, how you can go about finding her on the Twitter and the Instagram, she's also got the Twitter. She's at Shayna, put in the N, Shayna N, J, and put, is it one eye or two eyes? Two eyes. Put Shayna, S-H-A, I'm sorry, Shanna. Shanna. Depends, like GIF or GIF, right? But I'm going to say Shanna for this sake of the argument. Shayna, J-I-I. Looks like there's two I's in there. She's on Twitter at that handle. And yeah, you guys will see exactly what I'm talking about when you look up just her images along and all that. You're like, wow, yeah, she is pretty cute. And I tell you what, this match that she had against Haruka Shida, and remember Shida, she was from that AEW Battle Casino Royale joint that all the women did to try to figure out who was going to be fighting for an opportunity to be the first ever AEW Women's Champion and everything. Yeah, she was involved in that. So this was actually a pretty damn good match. But I tell you what, I could not find one guy that did not compliment the hell out of how Shayna was looking there. I mean, gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Meanwhile, as this match was going on AEW, you had it competing with Finn Balor. Finn Balor actually had came out. Of course, the shock heard all around the world. I wasn't with you guys the past 2 Wednesdays for personal reasons, but it was really nice to see what had people talking. I was able to catch up on the past couple of episodes and everything that I had missed during the initial live broadcasting, and I'm telling you, for me, I'm kicking back and I'm not overanalyzing Finn Balor. I'm just going, okay. So we heard the shots fired around the world, him doing what he did to Johnny Gargano. Seems like he's showing a new demeanor here, a new layer, a new dimension to his character. Okay, this is great. This is a good way to shake things up. This is a great way to get people talking about him on social media and everything. Okay, now that you have people's attention, especially after you had spoke with TMZ cameras and everything, okay, you got everybody talking. Now we got a week afterwards of cooling off here, how you gonna follow that up? What you gotta say this week as far as why you did what you did? And Finn Balor, I gotta tell you, look, we can all be in agreement, even the most hardcore Finn Balor fan. As far as promo works is concerned, Finn Balor, not exactly the strongest. Not exactly the strongest. I mean, if you had to basically match him up to Seth Rollins, I would say I gotta give the edge just slightly more to Balor. Just slightly more to Balor. But it's not exactly by much, right? It's not anything to be jumping up and down about, right? So to see Balor cut the promo that he did tonight, in the bullet points of this, I'm paraphrasing here. With Finn Balor, he basically said in this segment tonight, 2 months ago, I was laying down for what was supposed to be the hottest thing in the business, because he put on a new mask. So there you go, right there. Shots fired. Shots fired. So he's already taken his shot there at Bray Wyatt, doing this whole new Fiend thing without even mentioning him by name. And you're going, ooh, right? Even if it's storyline, you're just going, oh, I like this. Shit got real. We're kind of bending reality here a little bit here, right? Is this really a shoot? Or, I like that type of stuff. I eat that shit up. I love that, right? So he says that line, and then he follows it up with, okay, so he says, yeah, because he got a new mask, I took mine off, and now I'm the hottest thing in the business. There's too many fans in the locker room, and as a result of that, they need to be out here in the crowds among you people, you the fans out here. So here he is, not only taking shots at the people in the back, but he's also taking shots at the fans, and the fans are just continuing to eat it up, even though they're being spoken down to, even though they're being treated like shit. Finn Balor, as far as they're concerned, it's okay. It's okay, because this is what we've been wanting to see from him from a long time. It's good. It's all right. Spit on us, right? He piss on us, whatever. It's all good, man. Give us more, right? So the fact that you got all of that going down, Finn Balor, pretty much saying why he did what he did to Johnny Gargano, pretty much why not, right? So there you go, your shots are fired. No Gargano. Gargano did not come back in any type of way to try to extract retribution, at least not just yet. Honestly, I was okay with that. The fact that they didn't spill it all out there this week, and they could have. It would have been well within their right to do that, because remember, you're competing in these segment blocks against AEW, right? But whoever was booking this on the NXT side of things, it was very smart how they had laid it out, quite honestly, right? And so that was it. Nobody interrupted Finn Balor during his promo spot, right? There was no surprise attack, anything like that. That pretty much was it for Finn Balor. This Shayna taking on Sheeta match. There you go. That's how I get around saying, not being able to say that first part. That match went, I want to say, a total of 2 segments. So while Balor was still doing this thing, and then prior to that, when you still had the Candice LeRae taking on She-Ra match, that's what you pretty much had going on there versus what was happening with Sammy Guevara, Adam Page. If I'm not mistaken, I want to say that Adam Page, Sammy Guevara, I think that just went 15 minutes solid. I don't recall a commercial break at some point. I don't. But Candice LeRae, Io Shirai, that had got 2 segments without a shadow of doubt right before you went to that Finn Balor segment. Now, before I forget, can we just go back one more time to that Io Shirai and Candice LeRae match, which was a great matchup, and I don't remember definitively saying to you guys who had won that match. Io Shirai did win. There was a steel chair that was involved in that match, by the way. Io Shirai, taking advantage of a distracted referee, was trying to use a steel chair there, but was not able to pull it off successfully. And later on in the match, you kind of got to remember it there. And it wasn't that later on. It wasn't like it was 15 minutes later and the referee didn't have a chance to get the chair out of the ring or anything like that. No, instead, it was a case where Io Shirai tried to do what she was trying to do with the steel chair. to no avail, right? Match was continuing on and everything, and somehow amongst all this haze, all this confusion, you saw Candice LeRae. She went up to the top turnbuckle looking for a high-risk maneuver. It looked like it was some type of a back moonsault or whatever, and she didn't realize that the way Io Shirai had herself positioned, she was covering up the steel chair that was on the canvas. So by the time Candice crashes, Io already moves out the way, and boom, abdominal region, first going into the steel chair. Io Shirai pretty much picking up the win that way. And post-match, there was actually a beatdown from freaking Io Shirai onto Candice LeRae. She just continued post-match, right? Amping up, cranking it up, that heel aspect. I've been loving this new demeanor that's been coming from Io Shirai these past couple of weeks, by the way. Loving it. Eating the shit up big time. Post-match, Rhea Ripley comes out, coming to the aid of Candice LeRae. So Io Shirai kind of really didn't want any of freaking Rhea Ripley there. All right, so continuing on here, we told you about the Finn Balor segment, right? As the Finn Balor segment was going on, see, you had Chris Van Pellet over on AEW. He was interviewing the legendary tag team, the Rock and Roll Express, who were on hand to present the new AEW World Tag Team titles. And man, those boys looked pretty. I'm talking about those tag titles. Them joints look pretty. Remember, those guys, the Rock and Roll Express, not only were they there just to be talking with Chris Van Pellet and everything, hyping up this upcoming main event match to crown the first ever AEW Tag Champions, but they actually were supposed to crown the first ever AEW Tag Champions. Well, sadly, they would not get that opportunity because they actually got jumped by the Inner Circle, Santana and Ortiz. And you're looking at this, and I can just imagine the chuckles and everything coming from people that were looking at this. Oh, great. So we're going to have Santana and Ortiz bit the living crap out of two old guys. Two guys that should be in the old folks' home. Like, seriously. This is supposed to get them over. And anybody that wants to take a cheap shot at the way AEW had booked that, I counter with this. I remember there was a time when the Dudley Boys were the shit. I remember a time when Dudley Boys freaking did the table spot there with Mae Young, Fabulous Moolah, and people ate it up. They ate it up big time. When they were doing the spots that they were doing with Stacy Keibler or you name it, people ate it up. So when I look at a spot where Inner Circle, Santana, and Ortiz do what they did to the Rock and Roll Express, I tell you what, I have no problem with it whatsoever. It's no different than when you go over to WWE and, I didn't see anybody that were taking shots at the Fiend gimmick when the Fiend had jumped Jerry the King Lawler or when he jumped Kurt Angle, right? I didn't see anybody criticizing that. So, yeah, is the Rock and Roll Express guys, are they a lot older than some of those cats I mentioned? With the exception of Mae Young and Fabulous Moolah. Oh, yeah, bet your bottom dollar. Yeah, without a shadow of doubt. But see, I think the other thing is the people that are blasting that particular segment, the other thing that they probably don't realize is that despite how old the boys in the Rock and Roll Express are, they're still going out there every single weekend and they are still having tag matches. As a matter of fact, and I'll rely on you guys in the chat, I don't know if they're still tag champions, but there were some tag titles they had won from some promotion a couple of months back, but I keep tabs on them from time to time, and I see some of their matches on YouTube or whatever, and those guys, as old as they may look, those guys can actually still go. You're talking to somebody that actually remembers a brief period in time within recent years. They were wrestling in Impact Wrestling. And they were having some decent matches, believe it or not. So, despite how old those guys are, they can actually still go. So, I think the big question right now is, okay, so with what Santana and Ortiz did, having their Team 3D moment, even right down to the point, they basically did the power bomb to, I forget which Rock and Roll Express dude it was, but they did the power bomb through the table over by the stage area and everything, by the ramp and everything. You're going, man. And just the way it was sold, it was almost equivalent to when Bubba Ray did what he did to Mae Young, and he just looked like he had a big old orgasm, right? You're like, so what's next for the Rock and Roll Express? Have we seen the last of them, or are they maybe going to try to come back and extract some type of revenge on Santana and Ortiz? I mean, if so, I'm down for it, because the boys, they can still go. They can still go. Don't believe me. And when I say the boys can still go, I don't mean, they could do a little punch, kick. Like, nah, the boys can still do drop kicks. As old as they are, they can still do drop kicks. They can still do flying high body stuff. Yeah, they picked up a little bit of weight, but they can still go. So, look, if this eventually sets up Ortiz Santana taking on the Rock and Roll Express, sign me up. I'm all fine for that shit, man. Meanwhile, as all of this is going on AEW, flip on back to NXT. Yeah, Bronson Reed had defeated Shane Thorne. Pretty good matchup there. Bronson Reed, for a big dude, the guy's pretty agile. I got to give him props. Pretty freaking impressed by Big Bronson Reed. Very impressed. I just hope that, depending on how far he comes along on the NXT roster and everything, I just hope that what's currently going on with his gimmick remains intact. And if anything, he plays around more and really tries to flush out the personality and really develop the character as a result more, and really owns it, because that's a character right there I feel has a lot of potential. Now, the last thing I want to do is see him get slapped with some type of a silly gimmick. That's the last thing I want to see happen to him, because when I look at a guy like him, Bronson Reed has just the beginning ingredients of your next Samoa Joe. I personally feel your next Kevin Owens. So yeah, that's definitely, you do him right, that's your next bona fide star in the making. You just got to be very cautious in how you're developing him and his character and everything, but very impressed with him. So here's where things start to get kind of bad for AEW, and I think anybody would agree with this. Even some hardcore AEW fans were kind of, yeah, this isn't really banging. So you go to a segment where Cody is talking to Tony Schiavone. They're in the back of a limo, and this limo is in motion. It is driving, and you're going, okay, this is interesting. Let's see what's happening here. And what I'm thinking is only going to be like maybe a 90-second spot, right? Okay, we get it. They're on their way to the arena for the contract signing that Cody is going to have with Jericho. Okay, all right, I get that. All right, I'm sold. I'm good with that. But it went on and on and on and on, and it was like, well, wait a minute, man. At one point, you hear cameras, like, actually taking pictures, like, ching, 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 I'm like, wait a minute, there's actually cameras doing their thing in the limo here? Like, what the hell, right? And Tony Schiavone was telling the story, and it was really hard to get into it, because what should have been, okay, they're going to the contract signing. Cody, he's a little bit preoccupied. He's got a lot of stuff on his mind. Okay, we get it. We get where Cody is coming from. We get that. But the segment went overkill. And I'll tell you what, it felt like you were watching Being the Elite from YouTube. And look, that miniseries, it's fantastic. It is fantastic. It is. But to have a talking segment where two people are in a limousine, and you expect for the people in attendance for 3-4 minutes to look at a Titantron, to watch these guys on the Titantron, you can hear the fans in attendance getting disgruntled at how long this segment was drawn out as they started chanting other stuff. I remember there was actually chants for JR at some point, right? So imagine if the fans are feeling that way, and you definitely have fans watching this at home feeling the same way. This was unfortunately a channel changer, right? Unless you got the Nature Boy Ric Flair in that limousine, like that's the only time, right? Or unless you, and it don't matter, like, because some of you guys will say, well, which Ric Flair, Lee? Because there's been a few Ric Flairs. Like, are we gonna go with TNA Ric Flair? Because that boy was pretty wild in his TNA days there, right? Are we gonna go with that Ric Flair, or we're gonna go with the Ric Flair that was running around behind Triple H for that short period of time until he found his confidence back. Like there's been a couple of versions of Ric Flair in them limousines, but no matter what, Ric Flair back of a limousine, freaking fun, without a shadow of doubt. But yeah, this was just imagine that you're watching AEW, and just the first little bit that I had talked about, you've got this great energy, right? And it's staying at the same rate, right? But then you hit this segment with Shivani and Cody, and it just and it goes down, right? So I wouldn't be surprised, and I would love to see the segment quarter breakdown as far as how the viewership was going for key segments or whatnot. But yeah, this was definitely, sadly, a channel changer. Without a shadow of doubt, it was a channel changer. Meanwhile, as this was going on, this was actually, think about that. 4 minutes, essentially, of a limousine talking segment. And you've got this competing with NXT's Women's Tag Team Championship. As the Kabuki Warriors were in action, they had defended the titles against Dakota Kai and Tegan Nox. Yeah, that's not smart, man. That's not smart. So, by the way, the Kabuki Warriors taking on Dakota Kai and Tegan Nox, that got the most story time. That got the most time as far as matches goes. That match alone got at least, if not 4, 5 segments, if I remember it right. I know that sounds pretty crazy, but I bullshit you not. If not 5, definitely 4 segments. I counted by my own record. So, and that match was awesome. That was a awesome women's tag team match. I loved that. I ate it up. Now, after they got past AEW, that is, after they got past the Cody Rhodes limousine segment and everything, eventually you did come back from a commercial break. There was the contract signing that Cody Rhodes had with Chris Jericho. They signed this and everything. Jericho playing a little bit of mind games on Cody as Sammy Guevara grabs Cody's attention via the Titantron to show him that Jack Hager was beating the crap out of Cody's brother Dustin. And Cody quickly tried to come backstage to his brother's aid, but the damage was already done. And I thought it was rather weird how this whole segment was laid out. I really, really did, because, and I'll tell you the reason why, and I'm a stickler for details. So you've got Jericho teasing the hell out of Cody, right? During the whole contract signing. Psychs him up, makes him think he's gonna attack him when he doesn't, but then has Dustin set up in the parking lot. And what was really, whoa, that was fast. Like, by the time the cameras cut to what's going on with Dustin, and he gets laid out and everything like that, and then you have a couple of officials, medical personnel check up on Dustin, boom, Cody is right there. It doesn't even feel like 3 minutes had passed, and Cody is just instantly right there. And as he's checking in on Dustin, you've got Chris Jericho, who's smoking a cigar. He's enjoying the handiwork that Hager had caused and everything. And at this point, you're going, well, wait a minute here. And maybe I missed something. So if I missed something, let me know, because I did do a lot of channel back forth basketball World Series and all that. So let me know if I missed something here. But you do all that, and then you don't have Cody try to charge after Jericho. You don't have even more officials try to come in and pull these guys apart, because obviously Jericho has really made it personal for Cody and everything, right? So for me, that was just I didn't really like the execution. On paper, it sounded pretty good, but when you see how it laid out, I really didn't like that whatsoever. Meanwhile, Kabuki Warriors, Dakota Kai, Tegan Knox, they're still doing their thing, right? I mean, they got the most time tonight as far as the matches go, without a shadow of a doubt. Great tag team matchup. Kabuki Warriors are still your respected women's tag champions. Now, look, we were just here on Monday night and we were talking about Paige and how, hey, why not have Paige come out to try to extract some type of. Actually, no, Monday night we said something along the lines of what's next for Paige. Obviously, you've reintroduced Paige, so you've put her in a position now where she's got to somehow figure out how she can extract some type of revenge on the Kabuki Warriors for what they did to her and everything, right? So you kind of would have thought that with Paige having the past affiliation that she had in NXT, it would have made all the sense in the world, especially if you were getting ready to, I mean, really stop and think about it. You're doing your thing with Poppy. You're doing your thing with, making the announcement of the women's war games and everything. It would have made all the sense in the world to have Paige pop up and somehow try to stick it to the Kabuki Warriors, even if it would have backfired. It really would have been nice to kind of somehow implement Paige, and hopefully WWE is kind of getting the gears in motion and figuring out how they want to go about with Paige. But see, post-match, we had saw Shayna Baszler, Jasmine Duke, and Marina Sharif. They did a beatdown on Dakota Kai and Tegan Knox. This had prompted Rhea Ripley to come out, try to balance things out. But then Rhea Ripley would be attacked by Bianca Belair. You also had Io Shirai, Candice LeRae. All of these girls were just all in there and everything. And it was just a clusterfuck in a good way. It was just Armageddon, pandemonium, just crazy, right? Just all these babes just fighting, right? Talented babes at that. All these babes just kicking each other's asses. So you go to a commercial break, but the action had continued on, via the social media platforms. Sir William Regal came out basically during the commercial break on the USA Network and had revealed that all of these women were going to be involved in war games. I mean, he pretty much kept it short and sweet. When Regal came out, he's like, enough of this. There's only one way to settle this. All of you all, war games. That was it. Dropped the mic. He pretty much was done. So, yeah, we are going to see all of these talented women. They are going to be involved in the first ever NXT Women's War Games. So I'm ecstatic for that. It's a talented bunch. It is a talented bunch, and I tell you what, man, it's a good time to be an NXT fan. No bullshit. It is a legit great time to be an NXT fan. So the way that this is going to be happening here, the teams are not official for the event just yet. You got to keep that in mind. But pretty much set for November 23rd in Chicago, right? I mean, you would like to believe that all of those participants that we saw, you would like to believe Tegan Knox, Dakota Kai, Rhea Ripley, right? You would like to believe that's going to be, part of the team and everything. And then, of course, on the other side, Bianca Belair, the horsewomen there in Baszler, Duke, Sharif, right? You would like to believe all of those girls, or all of them that we saw, are going to be part of it. So, unless they pull some type of a weird, got you, we got to replace this person with this person, right? Unless they go in that kind of a direction. But even though it's not official who all the members are going to be, I mean, it's almost kind of a foregone conclusion. All those women we saw involved in that brawl, they are going to be the participants in that. So very ecstatic for that. That's going to be fucking badass. Can't wait for that. All right, let's continue on here. Not much more to go over here. So we had all that. AEW in the meantime, Kip Sabian, Jack Evans, Angelico, they had faced You know what? I'm actually missing a match, I think. Let me just go back a second here. Yeah, I'm missing a match. There was a match that had went down. I want to say it was with best friends. Remember what I said earlier about the whole limousine thing with Tony Schiavone and Cody, and how that was kind of right, but they kind of picked it up just a little bit with the contract signing afterwards. Well, then they hit another flat line. There was this one match, and the fact that I didn't take notes of it lets you know how irrelevant I thought that it was, basically. They did this match where Orange Cassidy, and I look, I know some people don't get Orange Cassidy. You know, if it grabs my attention and I'm remembering, I'm talking about it in the most positive way that's possible and everything, like, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. And for me, Orange Cassidy, I actually like this gimmick. He's got the most, as far as 2018 going into 2019 goes and everything. He's got the most interesting gimmick. You know, there's no denying that, right? And at the end of the day, if it ain't making dollars, it don't make sense. I'm talking about that common sense. So for me, Orange Cassidy is somebody I've gravitated towards. And look, if you've got to hold my head to the fire and ask me straight up, Lee, grab the dick Joey Ryan or hands in pocket Orange Cassidy, you know, look, they're both able to make money. They're both able to make money. But for my personal taste, I gotta go with Orange Cassidy. I think most people would be like, yeah, Orange Cassidy. Like, I don't care for the dick flips. And, you know, look, you're able to make money off of that. You're able to make money off of people touching your dick. More power to you. More power to you, right? you know, me personally, anybody's gonna be touching my dick, you know, you got to be paying me at least a couple of $100s, right? You know, especially if you're a hot babe. You know, I mean, that's all I got to say. I guess maybe it shouldn't be hard. I don't know. But yeah, seriously, I would go with Orange Cassidy. But for me, you had this one segment where best friends, they were teaming up with Orange Cassidy. And I don't even remember the guys that they were facing on the other side. And that's because when you flip the channel, you see these guys that are dressed up and you're like, who the hell are they supposed to be? This was a Halloween themed episode of AEW Dynamite. It was from the Librarian. Okay, that's nice. The Bucks coming out as Ken and Ryu from Street Fighter. Kenny Omega coming out. I don't know what the hell he was supposed to be, but he's got a costume on as well and everything, right? So, you know, you've got these nice costume elements. Even Brandy, and we got to talk about Brandy. That's another one that just kind of had me scratching my head a little bit. But, you know, you got these Halloween themed elements that's going on to it and everything. Okay, I get that. And if there's one thing I've been wanting to see from more wrestling promotions, particularly the WWE, for a period of time. Hey, when Halloween, for example, rolls around, why don't you do something cool? Why don't you play dress up or whatever, right? Have everybody on that episode dress up as your favorite wrestler or whatever, right? Pop culture icon, whatever, you know, video games, movie star, whatever. And so for AEW to go in that direction, I commend them for trying to shake things up a little bit, do something out of the norm, right? I appreciate that. But when you're at this point right now, very early on into your television career, and you're trying to not only establish your brand, but you're trying to establish the stars of your roster, it doesn't matter where they are, right? It doesn't matter if they are low card, middle card, like, it doesn't matter. It's all about establishing them to a newer base and getting these newer fans to regularly check in and everything, check out the product and everything, right? Build that connection, build that rapport with fans of these certain characters you're introducing every week. And so imagine you're just changing the channel and, you know, you see two guys not in costume that look like CAWs from 2K20, and you've got some guys that are dressed up like Rick and Morty from Cartoon Network, right? And like, the only reason why I even know who the fuck those guys are is because I watch Cartoon Network still, because I'm a big Tim and Eric Awesome show, great job, fan. I love Check It Out with Dr. Steve Brule. I love Black Jesus. I love Boondocks. By the way, I had shared the news on social media. It was like literally right before I had went to bed, and the news had broke out like probably about 15 minutes as I was editing the show for Patreon. But I want to just say it once again because officially this is now my first time acknowledging that we're live on the air and everything since the news broke. But rest in peace to John Witherspoon. Passed away at the age of 77 earlier this morning, and my heart goes out to his family, especially his family, his friends, his colleagues. We lost a good one. John Witherspoon, always been a big fan of his, grew up on him. For me, watching him for the couple of decades that I've been watching him, it felt like I was growing up on a relative that, I didn't mind having them hang around me for a few hours, but kind of like after a while, I need them to kind of leave already because they're wearing out their welcome. He kind of came off like one of those type of characters, but I mean, we'd be here all night talking about, well, he was great in this or he was great in that, but just asking me straight up, what am I most going to remember him from as far as his body of work? First earliest memories would have to be Eddie Murphy's, was it Eddie Murphy's dad? No, it was not Eddie Murphy's dad. It was Martin Lawrence's character, if I remember it right. I think maybe it was Martin Lawrence's character's dad. But I remember John Witherspoon had played the dad in Boomerang. First introduction properly to you've got to coordinate, and he had sex with the missus in the bathroom and everything, and that was just so for me. Boomerang, of course, the Wayans Brothers show, definitely. Come on, you'd be a sucker to not mention Friday, Soul Plane as well. I mean, there's so many. Boondocks, come on, man, Pops, Boondocks, you can't forget that. Black Jesus, which is still in the middle of their newest season right now, right? So, how's the future of that show in particular going to be now that John Witherspoon, is bad enough you're doing Black Jesus and you no longer have Charlie Murphy, but now add on top of that, you no longer have John Witherspoon, right? So I actually did. Me and Tammy, we actually had an opportunity and we did take advantage of it. We went with our best friends. We went to DC Improv some years back and we had saw John Witherspoon, and man, we never laughed so hard in our lives. We never laughed so continuously before in our lives. It was a fantastic night. And this was back in 2014. It was nice going back and hearing the review again that we did for that show and everything. This was back when we were still doing the phone hotline show. Yes, we actually did. We used to do a phone hotline show. We had our own little number. We'd call in, we'd go in live, and then, we'd, two ways. We would either patch in the co-host would call in a number, come in that way, or they would call a Skype number or connect through Skype. But yeah, we used to do the show back in the day with a phone line and everything, chat line. So it was good days, man, good days. But anybody that's a little bit curious and everything, you can go check it out. It's actually on YouTube. I'm sure if you type in John Witherspoon RCWR, it's like the first thing you should be able to come across it that way and everything. But he's definitely gonna be missed. It was great seeing him at DC Improv. We chatted with him for a few minutes afterwards, even took some pics and all that. You can see some pictures. I actually had posted some pictures on Twitter and on Facebook and everything. It was a great night, man. But yeah, that was just, how did we get on John Witherspoon, by the way? I'm trying to think how we got, I'm sure there was a connection there as far as that sidebar, why we went in that direction. But we already talked about, I think we were still talking about that tag match though, right? I think we were. So to see those guys, Rick and Morty, that's what we were talking. That's how we did, because of the Cartoon Network. See, there's a reason why we get sidetracked, but there's still that connection. So now you understand why we went in that direction. So, look, you can't assume that when people flip to AEW, they're going to know who these characters are, because not everybody watches Cartoon Network. First of all, you got to have a unique taste. Even if you are, somebody that is 18 to 44, you cannot assume. That would be just as bad as me, and we talked about this on the Patreon show for Wrestling with the Topics this week. That would be like when I was bringing up the story about, and I'm not going to get into the story, but that would be like me going into a Best Buy, going into the computer software section, and expecting the guy to know about video games because of a particular device that I'm looking for, that you wouldn't look at as, oh yeah, you could use that as a video game accessory, right? So you shouldn't assume like that. So, for me, just imagine that you're changing the channel. Who are all these guys? Why are these guys dressed up? I don't understand. Who are these people? I don't get it. Flip, you're changing right back to NXT as a result. And for me, now AEW, they did redeem themselves. So I got to give them credit. But when you first are looking at this segment, what the hell is this? Change the channel. And it's like, wait a minute, you dressed up Orange Cassidy? First of all, you should have never dressed up Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy is his own gimmick. He doesn't need a Halloween costume or whatever, because he is his costume, right? He is the gimmick, right? Him just being out there. I mean, let me understand something here. This is the same Orange Cassidy we saw in Storyline a couple of weeks ago or whatever. The best friends, they were trying to get him to high five him or some shit like that. And Orange Cassidy, he wasn't having any of that. Orange Cassidy is just standing there and he's like, whatever. They hugged him and he's kind of just got this look like, yeah, whatever, dude. It's cool. And then you got the spot there where Orange Cassidy is standing in the middle of the ring while the Young Bucks are doing the pose down. They're looking at him and they're like, come on, man, pose with us, man. Do something. And Orange Cassidy is not doing a damn thing because he's too cool for that. And he does these little light tap baby kicks and everything. And they both super kick the shit out of him, right? So if Orange Cassidy isn't flowing like that because he's too cool for that, then how in the hell are we going to put Orange Cassidy in a Rick and Morty costume? Right? So for me, that did not make sense. You should have, just picture that. You already got people talking about Orange Cassidy all throughout social media and everything. No reason to dress him up when fans are going to be flip-flopping too on these live Wednesday nights, right? So, hey, Orange Cassidy, I got to leave it on because I got to see what the guy is going to do. That sells in itself. I don't ever want to see AEW do Orange Cassidy like that again, because everybody, I don't care how new you are to the AEW product, most people know, oh, that's that dude with the hands in the pocket. He doesn't do shit. He's almost kind of like the man with no name, Clint Eastwood. Yeah. Let me see what's going on with him. You got to capitalize on that. So they did redeem themselves second half of that match, because at some point his wig came off and everything. And you're like, okay, now we're back to normal. But damage was already done by then. All right. Meanwhile, you had another Halloween themed joint. Like I said earlier, you had Kip Sabian, Jack Evans, Angelico. They were dressed normally, taking on the Bucks. Bucks were dressed up as Ryu and Ken from Street Fighter. Omega, some Japanese, I don't know. It had a video game. You're about to fight an epic crime boss to it or whatever. I don't know what the hell was going on with that one. I want to say Omega and the Bucks had won that one. Meanwhile, as all of that was going on, you had to pull apart William Regal setting up the War Game spot and everything. Tyler Bates, he was in action. As far as who Tyler Bates had took on here, I got to refer to my notes for this one. Bear with me a second here, because I got some additional notes on the computer screen here. Looks like... Let me look here. Tyler Bates had took on Cameron Grimes. Decent match. Yeah. It was a decent match. I enjoyed it. It was actually a decent match. I liked it. I actually liked that match. It was actually pretty good. See. Other than that, you had your main event match. So for AEW, this was about crowning their first ever AEW World Tag Champions. And then you've got NXT. They've got their tag team match, where the tag team match consisted of Keith Lee and Matt Riddle taking on the Undisputed Era. So look, we got new tag team champions, SCU. Look, good match. Good match. If you're going to go home strong. That's what I always say, right? Even though it was a really great tag match throughout, I don't agree with the finish to the tag match. That's where I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people kind of frowned upon that a little bit, but when it's all said and done, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe the time restraints is kind of what really sealed the deal and everything. I think this would have been one good instance where don't be so focused on crowning the champion on TNT so that you can go home and everybody knows who the new tag champions are. I think this really would have been a great opportunity to use a cliffhanger, pull a WCW joint, right? I know that used to piss some fans off, but there were many of us fans can't wait for next week. Can't wait to see what happens next week, right? But then even at that, you know you're going to have some type of press releases that's going to be put out by the company and everything, letting you know what had went down and everything. But in this particular case, I didn't like the fact that the match ended in pretty much a small package. That's pretty much how it went off. A freaking small package, right? Yeah, that just... But it was still a good tag match nonetheless. I really was rooting for the Lucha Brothers. I was really expecting them to come out as the tag champs. I really, really was. I'm very high on them. Their stock is so damn high. So damn high. And I appreciated them even more as individuals thanks to that one episode of Dark Side of the Ring. Actually, no. Not Dark Side of the Ring. The one episode of The Wrestlers. Yeah, The Wrestlers. Like that one episode that they did covering them and everything. So for me, it was kind of, damn, they didn't get it, so you look at an instance like that, and I wouldn't be surprised if some fans were kind of looking at that spot and they may be feeling, oh, okay, so this is really about the boys, that core group that are AEW management that's going over here. Like, you could almost kind of make that argument, and folks that kind of feel that way, I totally would respect that. I totally would. I would just hope, though, that these titles are ultimately just being used right now in the interim as props for SCU and really just giving them that nod of first ever AEW World Tag Champions become your next, maybe your Full Gear pay-per-view. Maybe you'll crown new tag champions. That could very well be the case, and if that is the direction you're going to go in, then I kind of don't mind that, but kind of weird how they're doing this right here. It really, really is. I did say Jon Moxley, he did appear. It was a brief cameo, because I remember I said something about the librarian earlier. That was another flatline moment. Like, you didn't really care, but if you had changed the channel, you would have missed out, because Jon Moxley had came out, beat the holy crap out of that dude that's with the librarian or whatever, and cut a scathing promo talking about how he wasn't through with Pac just yet, or Pac, however you want to pronounce his name. But he also took shots at AEW management, taking little digs at them for how they're constructing their business and everything. Oh, hey, this is for the boys, by the boys, taking a massive shit on that and basically saying if AEW isn't going to be doing the right thing by me and everything like that, then screw him, right? So he's pretty much called his shot and let it be known he's going to go to the beat of his own drum, because as far as he's concerned, AEW, yeah, they may have him and everything, but kind of sounds like he's going to make sure that they have buyer's remorse over the way that they've been handling him so far, right? So it's kind of nice seeing that side of Jon Moxley come out and everything. One other thing I want to talk about that just kind of left me scratching my head, and I actually want to pose this question to the hardcore AEW fans, which is, explain to me Brandy Rhodes. Not being a dick, legit, explain Brandy Rhodes to me. Because we keep seeing Brandy Rhodes do these heel-like things, right? But then we see Brandy come on out and she's cutting these nice, emotional babyface promos for her man Cody, or, you know, she's doing this, you know, web series, oh, A Touch of Brandy, or, you know, doing these nice little spots, you know, for Humane Society or whatever. And it's like, I don't get her. I don't. And I really need for AEW to do a better job with their heel babyface structure. You know, how do you want the fans to feel? How do you want them to operate? You know, it's one thing if you're going to go in a tweener direction. All right? Okay, that's fine. But don't have a personality like a Brandy Rhodes do a hard 180 as a face and then turn right back around either later on during the night, a couple of segments later, or the very next week, it's an opposite 180 and now it's flip, and you're not really explaining. You know, she comes off, right now, her character comes off very bipolar, right? So I really need for AEW to better structure what exactly is going on here with certain individuals, and the Brandy Rhodes character is a screaming example of that. Me and a couple other people had pointed this out, and you know, it pays to check out the other shows that we do, because if you've been checking out the Wild Women of Wrestling recaps, and most importantly, you've been watching the product, you know that there's a chick on there called Voodoo Doll. And, so you look at this new spot that went down with Brandy Rhodes, and she's got this whole voodoo type of weird shit that's going on. Awesome Kong is part of it, and freaking Brandy's got these dark candles all around. You know, the room is dark, and it looks like she's conjuring up some spirits or whatever. She's got this black mascara all under her eyes, you know, dark black lipstick or whatever. Looks like she's been crying or whatever, and the makeup is just streaming down her face. You know, very gothic-y, very, voodoo-ish and everything. So it's like, okay, so what's going on here? Has she been binge watching on Wild Women of Wrestling, and she's kind of like, I like that Voodoo Doll chick, I gotta borrow some of that? Like, you know, what exactly is going on? Night and day. Night and day, night and day, night and day. All the characters I'm looking at right now that needs better structure on the AEW roster, that Brandy Rhodes character is the main one. We got Cody Rhodes and a couple other people, but Cody being the main one on social media saying, give me your constructive criticism. I want to hear from you guys. I really sincerely want your input, because I want to know ways that, we need to improve the product, what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, how it can be improved. Have a better structure for your face heels, right? For the most part, to AEW's credit, just to defend them a little bit, they've got it established with most of the cats on the roster. But the Brandy Rhodes is one that continues to just leave me scratching my head. So that needs to be their personal pet project over the course of the coming weeks here. But yeah, the main event match for NXT, because NXT, they always like to go a little bit into overtime. We actually saw the winners, the Undisputed Era, pick up the victory over who was it? Matt Riddle, and it was Matt Riddle and who's the other guy? Matt Riddle and Keith Lee. Post match, let's take you into the closing moments of that one. Closing moments of that matchup there. So you had the rest of the Undisputed Era. They had showed up. Riddle had managed to kick them both off. Kylie sends Riddle over the apron, swings back to Cole. Kylie gets sent over. All four members of the Undisputed Era, they're there. Riddle connects with a Asai moonsault on Undisputed, sends Fish back into the ring, ducks under, tries to lock up, ripcord to the knee to the head. Keith Lee runs in, pounces Cole into the other guys, and Riddle then tried to go for a power bomb. Comes in on Kylie. They go low, cover 1, 2, 3. Undisputed Era pretty much picks up the win that way, and there proceeds to be a post-match beatdown. You know, Mauro Ranallo and crew wondering who's going to come out here, who's going to stop this, who's going to, try to help these guys. Tommaso Ciampa, with a crutch in hand, was running down to the ring, and Undisputed Era didn't want any piece of that, as they pretty much had flocked out of the ring, and it pretty much had went off with Tommaso Ciampa with Riddle and Keith Lee. So you're kind of wondering, okay, well, now that you got Tommaso in there, are we kind of maybe going to see this revisited maybe on next week's NXT show? Who knows? But that's pretty much how things had wrapped up on NXT. So, all said and done, both shows, I felt they did a relatively, okay job tonight, but I got to give the edge more to NXT. I really felt that NXT did the better job in their execution tonight. But we'll see how everything goes when those ratings come about. Like I said, past consecutive weeks now, AEW's been doing their part. So, I am I'm happy. I'm happy that we can just flip-flop like this with these shows right now. If I sound a little distracted, I'm seeing a message come in from the booking.com people, because I think we guys had told you. In case you had missed it, it's okay, but the RCWR show has been invited to cover the C2E2 Expo event in Chicago next year. So it's going to be going down in late February. So we're actually going to be going out there as part of the press media. And one of the places that I ended up booking a hotel with, kind folks, by the way, I just skimmed the message. I didn't even open up the message, but they basically were like, hey, we're happy you're going to be coming. Look forward to seeing you. Got the notation there. We're going to do our best to hook you up with the best room possible. So, I don't know how you guys are, but when I travel, I don't know what it is, but as it stands right now, I have a hard time sleeping as it is. I actually have to take melatonin because I'm so wired. If I don't take melatonin, I'm going to be up until 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm usually just doing stuff on the computer, or so melatonin really, the keyword mellow. So it really, really mellows me out and heightens the sleep even more for me. But when I travel, it's even heightened, right? I'm almost an insomniac. So I care greatly about being able to sleep. I love being on a level where I don't have to worry about kids. I don't have to worry about being next door to young people that's probably going to crank up their music and all that other stupid shit. So as of late, I've been putting in notations. Hey, I have a hard time sleeping. I'm a little bit of an insomniac. High level, put me on a level with hardly any kids, any young folks. Quieter the better. And usually when you put in notes like that, the hotel does their very best to move you as best as possible, according to your notes. So that was kind of nice of them to do that, because it's kind of rare I actually see a hotel. Usually most hotels, they see the notations and they just do that, right? They just do that. But in this case, rare instance, you got a hotel saying, hey, all right, got your notes? Yeah, we're going to do our best to hook you up. Look forward to seeing you in Chicago. Like, okay, cool. So appreciate that, guys. Good stuff right there. So I'll put them over gladly if it turns out my stay is a success. Because as you all know, the last time we were out there in Chicago for frickin', it was the CM Punk joint. And it was the last time we were out there. The hotel at the Midtown, I mean, we gave them a scathing review on the show that we did. That was just, whoo. Hey, we don't have any sponsors for this episode. I'm keeping it sponsor free, but I am going to get into some Patreon shout outs later. We got the Crown Jewel pay-per-view event that's going to be happening this Thursday. I do want to go over that card. We also got some MLW talk. I want to get into MLW because they got their super fight card that's going to be happening this Saturday and everything. So I definitely want to talk about that. But let's first talk about this Crown Jewel card. And Seth, hopefully you get this. I'm going to give you my picks in a direct message, but here we go. Crown Jewel. All right, so first off, let's deal with the breaking news that came about from Stephanie McMahon earlier today. Or rather, WWE and Stephanie McMahon, because Stephanie McMahon, she had her own respected interview where she revealed why Natty and Lacey Evans got the nod. But in case you guys had missed it, so WWE, they announced that at Crown Jewel, and it's like a first time ever for a major wrestling promotion to be able to do this in Saudi Arabia, but 2 women are actually going to be getting into the ring and they're going to be wrestling. And that honor goes to Natty, Natalya, and Lacey Evans. Okay, so you know what? That's fantastic. That is fantastic. And I think it's so funny. I really, really do. And I'm not sucking my own dick, so please, people, don't take it the wrong way. But I find it so funny. We were here 2 Crown Jewels ago. And the talk about, oh, will women ever wrestle in Saudi Arabia at one of these WWE events for 'em? Will it happen? And you can go back and you can check out what I had said on the show back then. I had said, yeah, I believe it's honestly gonna happen. And I went a step further and I said, this deal that they got with Saudi Arabia, it's for what, 10 years? And I said, I would like to believe that sometime in the next 3 to 5 years, the match will happen. We will start seeing women fight in Saudi Arabia, or rather wrestle in Saudi Arabia for WWE. Yes, I feel we are going to see that. And I remember you had so many people that it was so funny too, because they acted as if they knew what the fuck was going on in Saudi Arabia, right? And meanwhile, you could just be like, hey, did you watch 60 Minutes? Huh? Did you watch 60 Minutes? Nah, I don't watch that shit. That's like for old people. What the fuck I look like watching that shit for? And it's kind of like, well, not for nothing, but if you kind of opened up your mind a little bit more and you watch shows like that, or you watch World News Tonight, or you watch Nightly News, or even Meet the Press, you know, to find out what's going on outside of North America, you know, and to WWE's credit, they did try to let you know how things were coming along. Notice particularly for women in Saudi Arabia, but just going outside of, let's just say for the sake of the argument, I don't want to go with that WWE. That kind of seems like that bullshit propaganda. Okay, right, that's fine. But when you go do your rounds with Newsweek, Meet the Press, 60 Minutes, and World News Tonight, and all them other shows, you're learning a lot, good and bad. Let's stress that, good and bad from Saudi Arabia. But particularly what's going on with the women out there, right? So yeah, there's still some things that's a little bit fucked up, and I would like to believe that they would say to you, the prince and the government, they would say to you, yeah, not everything is perfect. You know, it's going to take us some time, but we're hoping that, yeah, eventually we can get it to that point where, like America, you know, we're not giving up, right? So I remember saying on that first Crown Jewel, I was like, it's going to happen. Women are going to wrestle in Saudi Arabia. And I don't think it's going to, you know, take 10 years or past 10 years to do it. But you had so many people that were experts, never watched any of those shows I had mentioned. They just were basically going off of, I don't know what intel, right? Boom, here we are. There was a few of us that said next 3 to 5 years, it's going to happen. So I am ecstatic that the women are going to be wrestling. I don't care if the women are going to be able to wrestle in their normal attire, or if they're going to have to be, you know, fully clothed. You know, I can't wait to see how they're going to be dressed. That's the thing I'm really going to be homing in on, because I know the culture out there, you know, there's a certain perception, right? You know, but okay, we're talking about entertainment here. We're talking about sports entertainment. So how is it really going to go down here? Right? So I can't wait to see how the costumes are going to be set up and everything. And I don't want to be spoiled, right? Like, I know sometimes the superstars, they'll post a little stuff about, hey, this is going to be my ring attire. You know, they'll post on Instagram or whatever. I want to really be able to take it in real time as the entrances come about. So I can't wait to see how that's going to happen. And look, for the nod to go to Natty and Lacey Evans, let me first talk about the side of Lacey Evans. no matter how you feel about the Lacey Evans gimmick, granted, her background, in the military and everything, SWAT team and all that shit, man, one day when you're trying to turn her into a face or you just want to repackage her, that is going to be so awesome. Many fans are going to be able to connect with that. But for now, you've got this AWA, NWA retro type of throwback that I'm still a big fan of, right? And say what you will about her being still kind of green, but she's been coming along very well. And for her to get that type of nod, look, she knows what it's like because she's been in the military, right? She knows what it's like to go overseas and all of that. So this is definitely going to be right up her alley. And for her to basically go into this as the heel, right? I'm sure she's on cloud nine right now. I'm sure as far as memories she's going to be taking with her for the rest of her wrestling career, I would like to believe this is going to be one of those moments where, like, once you're able to get her out of that whole Southern Belle, you just get her straight up, like, as a face. I'm sure she will, because I've yet to see her in an interview go out of character, right? I would like to believe, once you're able to have that type of conversation with her where she's able to give you the 411 on that real tip, she's going to be like, oh, greatest highlights of my career, like one of the top 3 I'm going to be remembering for years to come. And I'm sure if you did a follow-up, what's your other 2 going to be? She'd probably say, when I become a women's champion. And then, the third one might be, hey, becoming a women's tag champion, or headlining the WrestleMania as a women's champion. I'm sure she'd probably say something along those lines, right? Nothing wrong with that, right? Dream big, I always say. Natty, come on, man. Natty, the veteran. Natty, the workhorse. Natty, always, hey, we need you to go do this. I've heard nothing but good things about Natty. Nothing but good things about Natty. That is a great high honor that's been bestowed upon her. And, that says a lot about not just her temperament, but that says a lot about how much upper WWE management, and the key word I want to use here, respect. That's the key word, respect. Now, some people can make the argument, shit, Lee, that really should have gone to Charlotte. Maybe that should have gone to Becky Lynch, or, that should have. And you know what? I would say you're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. Why they're not going in those directions, I don't know. That's an interesting conversation that would have to be pitched to Triple H and them during a conference call, right? But for the decision to be made with Lacey and Natty, I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. And look, given how well this is received, and it's safe to say this is going to be very well received, what these girls are going to be doing in this first ever, it's going to open the door even further for the rest of the women's roster to come on in there to future Saudi Arabia events, right? So I don't have a problem with these 2 girls going in there and being the first. Now, Stephanie McMahon, she did talk a little bit about why they were chosen for it and everything, and just kind of homing in on that and everything. She said Natty is somewhat of a legend in the women's division. She is a veteran, so it kind of follows up on what I had just said earlier. She has been here for so long, been a part of so many changes that have happened. When you consider her legacy and family history, it's pretty remarkable. You take Lacey Evans, who is fairly new to the scene, who has not been shy about sharing her perspective on overcoming, especially in her life and the things she's been through. She has a young daughter, and she wants to set an example and pave the way not only for her daughter, but boys and girls all around the world. That's their personal stories. I can't think of better representatives for WWE. You can go on their social media. They've made some pretty awesome statements. Lacey Evans said, I never thought I'd have the opportunities to do the things I've done with WWE. Tomorrow I get to show my little girl that hard work can bring you to the history-making heights. I'm ready for this. So that's, pretty damn awesome. She also had talked about Stephanie McMahon. She talked about the importance of how Ronda Rousey can show women how to draw on pay-per-view. She said, I think Ronda was certainly a part of that for sure. You can look at Serena and Venus Williams. Of course, we're talking tennis. You can look at any number of female athletes who have been making such significant strides in their respective industries. Ronda being absolutely a huge part of that when you consider the history of what we call the women's evolution, starting that with that hashtag that trended for 3 days worldwide in 2015 called Give Divas a Chance, which was specifically calling for better character development, better storylines, more athleticism from our women, which ultimately led to us rebranding the Divas division to the women's division. So good stuff right there. She also said it led to unveiling a new championship belt, akin to the men's, but still feminine, announcing that our women could now be called superstars, same as the men, which then led to our signing Ronda, our women headlining and main eventing pay-per-views, including the first ever time. Am I reading that right? Yeah, I'm reading that right. Headlining and main eventing pay-per-views, including for the first time ever this past April, Ronda Rousey, Charlotte Flair, and Becky Lynch being the first ever women's main event of WrestleMania at MetLife Stadium in front of over 80,000 people. You know, you get the rest. Yada, 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 yada. Now, there was also talk, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but you guys get the gist. Now, there was also talk about, okay, yeah, that's all great and everything, but what's going on with WWE Evolution? Like, what's going on with the follow-up to Evolution? Well, in a new development, as far as that is concerned, as far as 2019 goes, and I believe it was Stephanie McMahon that had talked about it, or somebody in the WWE. I just remember briefly skimming, and I was like, okay, interesting. It was pretty much kind of matching up to what I had heard already, which is, as far as 2019 goes, don't expect an Evolution pay-per-view. It's not ruled out completely. I think it's something that is going to be worked on. You know, look, they had no business taking that first Evolution pay-per-view. They had no business doing it at the arena that they had did it, because I thought the location was okay, but, some of our boys there in the New Jersey, New York area, they were able to give us the 411 and really tell us, no. That's not the place you want to be doing the first ever, right? And they struggled to sell that bad boy out and everything. So, it kind of feels like if it's not making dollars, it's not really making that good common sense, right? I think at this point, if WWE Evolution were to happen again, it's very well possible, guys and girls, that it might take place at Full Sail University. Just kind of something to think about, especially if you want to maybe eventually combine that with another edition of the Mae Young Classic, right? I'm just saying, and that would think, just picture this for a second. Just picture this. You've got your Mae Young tournament coming back, right? Everything culminates in your final two participants for the Mae Young joint, right? Well, let's say that you kind of break tradition a little bit, right? I know some people would want to see the ultimate winner in the Mae Young Classic, but why not shake it up a little bit? Why not do your Mae Young Classic, but then when you get down to your final two participants, you let those two women fight at the next Evolution pay-per-view. And the way you could just basically set this up, like, let's say you do your Mae Young Classic on a Monday, always on a Monday, right? Okay, well, you got that last round. Okay, boom, this is it. This is our final two. Then that Saturday, you got your Evolution pay-per-view. Tape it in front of Full Sail, all that. Have a good turnout and everything. And as part of that Evolution pay-per-view event, exclusive to the WWE Network, you could definitely see the two finalists from the Mae Young Classic along with other matches. I think if you kind of went in a direction like that, it just feels, especially after you saw the first Evolution joint, it just feels more like it should be in a more intimate setting. It really feels more Full Sail University-ish. I don't know if some of you people would agree with that, but that's just kind of my 2 cents from a distance, right? So, all that in mind, Lacey taking on Natty. I got to go with Natty. I got to go with that whole good feel moment right? This is it right here. You want to give that strong sign of, look how much we've overcome. Look at what all we've been able to do. And I mean, this is a match right here where, damn if it's heel versus babyface. This is just an awesome moment that we have here. But still, okay, who's going to get that honor? Hey, not only was I the first woman, but I was the first woman to, pick up the W out here in Saudi Arabia. And I just feel from the marketing PR perspective, making the rounds of doing the interviews and everything, given the position of where Lacey Evans is right now, yeah, you got that one little crack there in her armor where she's being her actual self and talking about how, hey, this is going to be great for my daughter and everything like that. But Natty is the one you really want to go with. And Natty, a very good track record. You don't have to worry about Natty. When you got Natty on the show, Natty knows all the right things to say. And Natty is always safe. And she is the ultimate babyface when it's all said and done. So for me, it just really feels like Natty. Natty is the way that this is going to be going. Look, if they decide they want to go in a Lacey Evans direction, I would not be sour grapes on that. All right, you want to further elevate Lacey Evans? You want to have her go out there, have the bragging rights for a couple of weeks and everything? Nothing wrong with that if you want to go in that direction. But it feels more like, because I can just take a step back and really picture it. On top of all the PR stuff, the podcast, the radio shows and everything with Natty, you also got to think about stock footage that's going to be used for the next Saudi Arabia event. And then afterwards, right? So kind of thinking of that in the stock footage, yeah, it feels like, all right, well, we went with Natty and yeah, so I mean, everything, you just put a nice pretty little ribbon around it. It's got Natty written all over it. So I got to go with Natty for this first ever women's match at Crown Jewel. Let's look at the rest of the card here. Let's see what else we got here. I won't be as lengthy with the rest of these matches, by the way. Let's see. AJ Styles taking on the Battle Royal winner. Because remember, that winner from that, I think it was a 20-man Battle Royal. Yeah, I think it's a 20-man. Yeah, 20-man Battle Royal. Winner of that faces AJ Styles for his United States Championship. All right, so these are your participants. You've got Mojo Rawley, Sunil Singh, Eric Rowan, R-Truth, Sin Cara, Brian Kendrick, Titus O'Neil, Tony Nese, Akira Tozawa, Shelton Benjamin, Apollo Crews, Buddy Murphy, Andrade, Drake Maverick, Eric Young, Luke Harper, Cedric Alexander, Heath Slater, Humberto Carrillo, and No Way Jose. Interesting right there. Okay, so this is interesting. Just looking at who's really jumping out to me the most. 3 individuals. There's 3 individuals that really jump out at me. I'm eyeballing Sin Cara. I'm also eyeballing Andrade. And I'm eyeballing Humberto Carrillo. And for me, Carrillo really stands out the most. I mean, especially if you want to just follow storyline consistency, right? Humberto Carrillo seems like the one you kind of want to lean more towards and everything. So, yeah. I'm not really picturing... You could make the argument for Cedric Alexander too. You could legit make the argument for Cedric. Yeah, this is a tricky one. Yeah, your final 3, possibly your final 4, it just comes off it's going to be Sin Cara, Cedric Alexander, Humberto Carrillo. I don't know why, but for some reason I'm picturing Sunil Singh. as part of the Final Four. I don't know why, guys. There's just something weird about that. I know, right? Because he's from like British Columbia or whatever, right? But the way WWE builds him, they build him from India or whatever. So I don't know. It's just weird for me. But for some weird reason, I'm picturing Sunil Singh as part of the Final Four. But no, I am gonna lean towards Humberto Carrillo, just so WWE can have some type of storyline continuity, especially when they get ready to come back to the States for Monday Night Raw and everything. It just seems like it would make more sense. So AJ taking on Carrillo, AJ still retaining the title. Seth Rollins taking on The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, Falls Count Anywhere match for the United States Championship. Remember, the match cannot be stopped for any reason whatsoever. For any reason whatsoever. So that means you can have people that could come out and could put the screws to whomever, right? So kind of keeping that in mind. And again, I've been talking about this for the past couple of weeks now, which is what exactly are you going to be doing with this match? And my biggest piece of criticism for this match has been the fact that the commentators on both shows, for Raw and SmackDown, they have not mentioned, hey, what happens with this match and if Bray wins the title? What does that mean for Raw? Raw would be without a World Heavyweight Champion. SmackDown would have pretty much all the gold. So then what happens? Would that mean Bray would be defending that title on both shows? What exactly does it mean here? And I've yet to see that be covered. I'm hoping that WWE will at least cover their tracks a little bit when they get ready to do the pre-show tomorrow after... Actually, no, it would be tomorrow. Yeah, it would be tomorrow afternoon because pre-show kicks off at 12, which would be 9 a.m. on the West Coast. And the pay-per-view starts at 1 p.m. Eastern, so that would be 10 a.m. on the West Coast. So I'm hoping that, they kind of touch upon that a little bit because I think that's a very interesting dynamic that you have there, right? And so kind of keeping that in mind, this match could essentially go either way is the point that I'm making. So what happens here? Does Seth actually come out still the World Universal Champion? I like to say World Heavyweight Champion, but you know the title I'm talking about. Does he come out still your Universal Champion, or does Bray Wyatt become the Universal Champion, which then promotes some type of a blockbuster trade? Like, could you even entertain that? Because, essentially, SmackDown would have, all the gold and everything, and then it's kind of like, oh, shit, So then what happens? SmackDown holds all the cards. That would be a very interesting storyline in itself, too, when you really stop and think about it, especially going into Survivor Series and everything. You want to talk about controversy. You want to talk about, okay, what the hell is next for WWE as a whole, because both World Heavyweight Championships are on SmackDown. And USA is scrambling, the executives, that is, they're trying to negotiate with Fox because they need a champion, and Fox is being hell-bent right now. They're like, nope, sorry, no refunds, nope. You knew exactly what was going on when you were doing this match, so you signed off on it. Nope, sorry, nope. So what happens? Are you going to set up some type of a blockbuster trade? Are you going to come to some type of an agreement where, okay, well, we can go ahead and have Bray come on over to Raw, right? But you kind of got to do us a little bit of a solid as well, right? But it's kind of like, well, what exactly is the solid that SmackDown would need from Raw? Because they pretty much hold all the cards, right? So, but it would create a very interesting dynamic, I feel. Now, the question is, WWE that smart with their writing that they could go in a direction like that? I think they are, but the real question is, would they be allowed to have that rope to tell that story? And I don't think so, sadly. And it sucks because this, for me, is a missed opportunity that WWE could have to really help heighten what has been below subpar storytelling and programming within recent weeks since they did the draft. This would be that next, let's shake things up a bit, right? Now, keep in mind, Rowan is now on the Raw side of things. Because remember, he got drafted. So you kind of look at that, and for those of you thinking, okay, well, is it possible, Lee? Is it even remotely possible that with a Falls Count Anywhere match, that maybe Rowan would be looking to extract some type of revenge on freaking Seth Rollins and cost Seth Rollins that championship? If I'm writing this and I want to set up some shock and awe for the next batch of weeks of programming, that's the flow that you're going to be going in. That is exactly the flow that you're going to be going in. But I'm not expecting a cameo from Eric Rowan. I'm not expecting Bray Wyatt to walk out of there the new champion. I'm not. I mean, look, if WWE decides they want to go with some shock and awe, and they decide they will go in that direction, and we end on, such a freaking cliffhanger, I'm down for it. But I'm seeing Seth Rollins come out of there still the Universal Champion. So if you ask me as far as how is things gonna play out, with that match, if I see anybody interfering or things of that nature, unless it's Eric Rowan, I'm not seeing anything. I'm just, unless they lay it out exactly how I laid it out, I'm not seeing a title change. I'm not seeing anything go down. Seth Rollins still your Universal Champion. Book that, cash that. Next matchup, let's go. What we got now? New Day. Big E, Kofi Kingston taking on the Viking Raiders, taking on Heavy Machinery, taking on Lucha House Party, taking on Kurt Hawkins, Zack Ryder, taking on the Revival, taking on the OC, taking on Dolph Ziggler, taking on Rude, and did I say Dolph Ziggler? Taking on the B teams, Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas. Whew, that's a lot of names. 9-team tag team turmoil match for the WWE World Cup. What names look good to me here? Who looks good? I'm not seeing B team. Let's take them out. I'm not seeing Ziggler and Rude. It's between New Day and Heavy Machinery. Yeah, it's between New Day and Heavy Machinery. I'm leaning more towards Heavy Machinery. Heavy Machinery. That's fine. I'm going with Heavy Machinery. Mansoor takes on Cesaro. Oh, I remember Mansoor. Oh, this should be a damn good matchup, too. That's your Saudi Arabian professional wrestler, too. Yeah, Mansoor all the way. I'm not even gonna, nope. I'm not even betting against him. Now, remember, give you guys some contrast. At the 2019 Super Showdown in Jeddah, he had won the 51-man Battle Royal, eliminating the last person, which was Elias. And since then, he did do a episode of NXT UK. He lost to Travis Banks and all. So he sparingly has been used here and there. So I'm expecting big things for him, post what went down that Super Showdown. I'm expecting for him, at least when it comes to these Saudi Arabia events, I won't say I'm expecting him to be the Undertaker for Saudi Arabia, but I am expecting him to have some type of a bit of a streak going on. So I got to go with Mansoor. I cannot pick against him. It makes all the sense in the world for him to go over and everything, because he has a nice, good following out there, man. A nice, good, strong following. They know who he is when he comes out. So, gotta give him some love for sure. What we got next? Brock Lesnar versus Cain Velasquez for the WWE Championship. I mean, look, the story here is going to be Brock, but I think the real question for a lot of us fans, what we're going to be looking for, even though we kind of have an idea of what Cain Velasquez is about from his AAA stuff. Okay, how is he improved upon that? You know, where is he now with his wrestling? You know, that's the real story that's going to be told right here, and I'm going to be paying very close attention to that. That's the one I'm going to be paying attention to the most. Is Rey Mysterio going to be a factor in here? Is Dominic going to be a factor in this as well, right? You know, that those are the real stories that you got to be looking at here. But yeah, Lesnar. I'm going with Lesnar. Braun Strowman takes on Tyson Fury. I'm conflicted with this one because on the one hand, you could say Tyson Fury wins. But, and see, I could see a case coming about where Tyson Fury... Now, see, if you really wanted to shock the hell out of people, I'm just saying, you could call it stupid booking. But if you really wanted to shock the WWE Universe, as big and strong of a man as Braun Strowman is, you really wanted to do some shock and awe, you could have Tyson Fury knock the shit out of Strowman. I mean, knock him out cold. Hit him with a love TKO. Like, soon as the bell rings, Strowman's knocked out. That's it. 1, 2, 3, match is over. You talk about shock, awe, whole 9 yards. Okay, well, what do you do with Braun Strowman after that would be the next question. Where do you go with Strowman from there? If you're already trying to spend a little bit of time building this guy up, then essentially you can make the argument you just built up this whole monster among men, get these hands, all this other stuff, for him to just, within seconds, to Tyson Fury, right? That would be bad for a lot of people, especially fans of Braun Strowman. That would be really, really... I wouldn't be surprised if people were like, man, they just buried Braun Strowman. I wouldn't be surprised if that was a term that was thrown around if WWE went in that direction. Now, I would like to believe that with good people like Paul Heyman, that supposedly is pretty high on a guy like Strowman, Strowman ain't going to be going out like that. Now, it's possible that Tyson Fury could win this match, but the type of story that you're going to be telling, I can see a lot of showboating. I can see these guys playing up to the crowds a little bit. I can see them circling around the ring for a bit, just continuing the circle. I can see Braun Strowman, with him feeling as though he's the veteran here. He's the one that, well, I'm the pro wrestler, you're not. I can see him showboating a little bit, getting ready to go in for a headlock or a grapple. Psych! And play up to the crowd again. Work that heel, because somebody's got to be the heel here, right? So you might as well let it be Strowman playing the crowd up, get them in favor of Fury, right? And then have Braun Strowman get the upper hand a little bit. Looks like Tyson Fury is outclassed. Flip it. Tyson Fury knows a thing or two. Okay. That makes Strowman a bit infuriating, right? You got your match kind of going on from there. If you're telling that type of a story and you're doing it in a way where you're continuing to make Strowman look strong, but you're also making Tyson Fury look strong, I can see something like that happening. Yeah, that's a good direction that you can go. Do you really want to give Tyson Fury a loss is the question. I don't think so. I don't think you're going to go in that direction. I'm seeing Tyson Fury pick up the win. I wouldn't be that surprised if maybe some guys had came out and tried to interrupt this fight. I wouldn't be surprised if something like that had happened, and as a result of that, what started off as a one-on-one match turns into a tag match with Tyson and Strowman teaming up. Because remember, and it dawned on me as I was looking at this card, getting ready to talk about it today, I remember Tyson Fury did say to Braun Strowman in one of his promos, hey, you know, I got a lot of respect for you, man. My kid likes you. You're actually one of his favorite wrestlers. And he was kind of playing up to him. It's like, okay, well, why are you playing up to this guy? Why are you putting this guy over? You should just be concerned about knocking his damn head off his block, right? So if that happens, don't be too surprised, but kind of not looking at that, I'll go with Tyson Fury. What we got left here? We got what? One more match on that note, right? Team Hogan taking on Team Flair. Team Hogan, Roman Reigns, Rusev, Ricochet, Shorty G, Ali, Hogan, taking on Team Flair's Randy Orton, King Corbin, Lashley, Nakamura, McIntyre. 10-man tag team match. I'm assuming this is elimination, right? I mean, by default, you got to have Lana come out at some point. Man, I can just picture the Saudis men just over Lana. That's if you allow her to come out in her sexy outfit. I could see Rusev and Lashley taking each other out. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe at some point during the pre-show, things escalate so bad that they beat the living crap out of each other and they both cancel each other out. And essentially it turns into a, what would that? That would mean it would be a 4-on-4, right? Would it? No. Yeah, 5-on-5. Well, wait a minute. Yeah, I said that right. So, so an 8-man tag team match, essentially. Yeah, I can see something like that coming about. I'm gonna say Team Hogan is gonna win. Look for some nice bright spots showcasing Shorty G, Ricochet, Ali. I definitely would say that. Look out for that. Big time. Yeah, Team Hogan. Especially if you're trying to elevate these guys, especially with a guy like Shorty G, you just repackaged him and everything. I don't agree with his new attire and everything, but you just repackaged him and everything. Ali just came back and everything. That side, Rusev kind of technically just came back too, but like I said, you can have him and Lashley cancel each other out and everything. But yeah, I'm leaning more towards the Team Hogan. Yeah, the Team Hogan, that good feel moment and everything for Team Hogan. And the Saudis had loved them some Hogan a few months back, man. They loved them some Hogan. All right, so one more time, looking at this Crown Jewel card. AJ Styles, I got him facing Humberto Carrillo for the United States title. AJ goes over. Seth Rollins retains the Universal Championship over the Fiend, man. But remember, it's a Falls Count Anywhere match. Some shit could go down. I laid it out for you, but will WWE be willing to go in that direction? Right? If I'm booking it, I'm telling you straight up how I would do it in the mind, but what my heart is telling me, they're not gonna go out there like that. If they jump out there like that, I will eat my own words. But I don't think they're gonna be going in that direction. I've got Heavy Machinery winning the 9 tag team turmoil match for the WWE World Cup. Lesnar over Kane Velasquez. Tyson Fury over Braun Strowman. Team Hogan over Team Flair. So that's how we're looking at things for Crown Jewel. And yes, we will be live when Crown Jewel goes off the air. I'll be here. Actually, I'm taking a personal day off from work to make it possible. Because last year I felt so bad watching the pay-per-view at work, even though work was a little bit slow. So I have vowed, no, we're going to do it right next year or next time they do an event. And so here we are some months later. And all right, so I'm going to be home for that. So I'm looking forward to that. Let's see. Before we get ready to wrap it up here, got some Jay Lethal news for you guys. Jay Lethal was injured during the ROH Honor United tour. He had broke his arm at that event. It was held in Bolton, England. This report coming to PW Insider. Injury had took place near the end of the match against PCO, and PCO came down on him. Lethal had moved a little bit before Impact, and his arm took the big brunt of that drop. Right now, no timetable for Lethal's return. So again, this is according to a report from PW Insider. Hopefully what will happen is ROH in the next couple of days will release a statement and let us know exactly how Jay Lethal is doing and everything, because this isn't the first time that we've heard a report that Jay Lethal is injured, right? So, kind of touch and go with that one. By the way, Shout out to Sammy Callahan from Impact Wrestling. My allergies are kicking my ass here. We're getting ready to wrap it up because I have feeling it with my allergies. Shout out to Sammy Callahan. Sammy Callahan had won the Impact World Championship against Brian Cage in a steel cage match on last night's premiere episode of Impact on Access TV. And this is Callahan's first time winning the title. Mind you, Cage won it back in April. So, congrats to Sammy Callahan. Long time coming. They don't call him the draw for nothing. I've been very high on Sammy Callahan. As a matter of fact, when it came to, and I was looking at my notes, we never did do the special on it, but when it came to awards for 2018, Sammy Callahan for me had won in a few categories. And so to see how everything culminated with Sammy Callahan becoming the new Impact World Champion, who else? Who other than Sammy Callahan? I mean, he is just, everything he touches is fucking money. It's got the people talking. He is the shit. I love that guy tremendously. I'm a big fan of his work, big supporter of his. So congrats to Sammy Callahan. And, was kind of looking as though maybe Tessa Blanchard, right? Was kind of looking that way, but, ended up being Sammy Callahan after all, which is fantastic. Also, the rematch for Brian Cage taking on Sammy Callahan for the Impact World Championship is going to be happening at Turning Point. Turning Point is going to be going down in PA live Saturday, November 9th. So I'm actually looking forward to that. I actually am going to try to do my best to watch that. Saturday, we got us MLW, the Super Fight card. I can't stress this enough. For anybody that has not watched MLW yet, you got to go out of your way. You got to watch this. Now, 9 times out of 10, you probably have MLW. Like, you're probably able to watch it because I think it's on that channel. I always mess up the name of that channel. I think it's called BN Sports or B All Sports or something like that. 9 times out of 10, you guys already have it. You don't have to pay extra for it because I know previous years you had to pay extra. And like one day I was just flipping through the channels and it turns out I have it, which is really weird because I did not add any sports packages whatsoever, right? I don't have no red zone, nothing like that. So the fact that I now have access to that particular channel and I can now see MLW Fusion Saturdays, 9 p.m. Eastern, like, okay, that's great. But I'm telling you, for you guys that haven't watched it yet, when you watch it, you're going to fall in love with that joint instantly. And I do plan on watching that card. It's going to be very tricky for me as far as watching it because WoW is going to be on Saturday, and I always do the WoW recap. So I'm not really sure how this is going to go down. It kind of feels like it's going to be a double dose. It kind of feels like maybe we're somehow... The last thing I want to do is 2 shows in one. I still want to do just the WoW recap by itself. Maybe we might have to come on a little bit later. But the way it's kind of going right now, we're definitely going to be doing 2 shows on Saturday because I really, really want to talk about the MLW Super Fight card. And the Super Fight card, check this out. Again, it's going to be happening this Saturday. $20. You guys got $20 you can spare? Check it out, man. It's going to be some good shit. And what I'll actually try to see if I can do as well, we did something really cool with the Discord. I actually took the liberty of making a few upgrades to Discord. And one of the things that we're now able to do is stream live video. And I can actually stream live video now that's running 60 FPS. 720p, so not really much. We're working our way of being able to stream 1080p in there, but what I'll probably end up doing is I'll probably stream WoW in the Discord, and I'll probably stream the MLW Super Fight card. So for those of you that, maybe money is a little bit tight, you might not be able to check out the pay-per-view event and all that, you'll be able to just hop in the Discord. The links is in the episode description by default. Like, even as I'm live right now, you guys can, or watching this on demand, the link is in there. You guys can check it out. But definitely, I am going to be watching the MLW Super Fight card. So check this out, man. It's going to be happening in Chicago this Saturday, November the 2nd. And your card right now, you got Low Key taking on Brian Pillman Jr. That should be a classic fucking match. Jimmy Havoc taking on Bestia 666 versus Mancy Warner. Stairway to Hell match. Man, it's going to be good. Injustice, Jordan Oliver, Cotto Brazil, and Myron Reed taking on Gringo Loco, Puma King, and Septimo Dragon. 6-man tag match. The Dynasty, and hey, for you AEW fans, MJF, Richard Holiday, they're going to be taking on the Von Erichs. Texas Tornado match for the MLW World Tag titles. Jacob Fatu takes on La Park with Selena De La Renta. Singles match for the MLW World Heavyweight Championship. This is LA Park's golden ticket cash-in match. Remember that, folks. Teddy Hart takes on Austin Aries, MLW World Middleweight Championship match. Tom Lawler versus Timothy Thatcher, or Thatcher, make sure we pronounce that right, Thatcher. Alexander Hammerstone defends the MLW National Open Weight Championship against Davey Boy Smith Jr. So a fantastic card from top to bottom. This is going to be, I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to this card, man. It's going to be some good shit. Also, Billy Corgan, he's been blown away by what's been happening with NWA Power. And he was talking about doing a studio show in 2019. Was also talking about how they try to do their best to give the talents all the creative freedom in the world and everything. And I mean, I've had the opportunity now to check out NWA Power. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. It's been a hell of a ride. I sadly don't get to watch it in real time with everybody else when this initially on, when it premieres. But I do watch it after the fact. And I want to just watch one more episode before I really comment on, these are the people that I'm liking so far. But, because I really haven't been able to sit down and watch just a full episode uninterrupted. I've only seen little bits and pieces here and there, sadly. And a lot of that has to do with side work and other shit that I'm doing. But I really like what I've been seeing from the NWA, and I'm really happy for Billy Corgan. I really am. Not only am I happy for Billy Corgan, but I'm also happy for the rest of just NWA as a whole, and just the quality that they've been able to bring with these NWA shows. I mean, great top-notch quality that I see that they're doing. Would they be able to keep up that momentum, though, is my main question. I mean, that's great that you got that nice, good retro throwback feel. Is that something that the fans will never get tired of, though, is my only question, right? That's my only question. Only time will tell. But yeah, other than that, really not much else we need to be diving into on the show. So we did pretty damn good. You guys got about 2 hours, and yes, wait, yes, I think it's official. Wait a minute. I wore my hat for good luck, and I think it is official. Let me just see here. I think it's official. Let me just make sure. Yes, it's official. I wear my lucky hat. And it's so funny, I bullshit you not. I did not wear this hat. And it looked as though the freaking Nats were going to lose. Because it was like 7th inning or something like that. I think I saw 6th or 7th inning. And Tams was like, my baby, she was like, put on your hat. Maybe that'll bring him some good luck. I said, okay, all right. I put my hat on, and between basketball, NXT, AEW, the World Series, and then trying to get ready for the show, I'm like all over the place. The Nats are your 2019 World Series champs. How about that? I know this was one of the most lowest rated World Series that everybody, like, they are just so quick to point out and everything. And I think when you really get down to the heart of the matter, it's because it involves two clubs that really nobody, kind of cares about. Essentially it's like, well, it's not really my team, so, I don't really care, right? When really what it should be about is, hey, look, we're all baseball fans, we just need to come together and, for the sport as a whole, let's go ahead and, but it's been a great series. I've enjoyed what I've been able to see from it. It's been an awesome series. Congrats, Washington Nationals. It is going to be crazy here in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. I'm telling you what, I'm glad I'm not going to work tomorrow because that is all I would be hearing all day. And at some point, I'm the type of cat, can we get back to work now? So just to recap over here for the DC metropolitan area, we had the Washington Capitals, right? They won the Stanley Cup. Just a couple of weeks ago, we had, and I'm not talking about, last NHL season, the Capitals were the champs. Just a couple of weeks ago, we had the WNBA Mystics, Washington Mystics. They became the WNBA champions, right? Now you got the Washington Nationals. And for everything that was going on with that club, with Bryce Harper and, what they did with their original, what was it, their general manager or whatever. You guys got to forgive me because I'm still, getting caught up to speed on most of the baseball. We were kind of talking off and on about it over the past couple of weeks. But yeah, to see just everything that's been happening with this club. And God, I remember when Mayor, at least then at the time, Mayor Adrian Fenty. It was Adrian Fenty that it was actually a combination. It was Anthony Williams and Adrian Fenty. They both had really led in the effort to bring baseball back to the nation's capital in Washington, D.C. And for a lot of us, we were like, I guess, let's wait and see. And, for them to be able to do what they were able to do and everything culminates in them winning the World Series, that's a hell of a story. It sounds like some Hollywood shit. It does. Now, there's one club left. One club left. We're looking at you, Daniel Snyder, and the Washington Redskins. Get off your ass. Stop fucking trying to be Jerry Jones, because you're not Jerry Jones. You're never going to be Jerry Jones. And stop meddling, right? You're running off some really good coaches and players, and anybody that's been watching the NFL, you know the history when it comes to the Washington Redskins. You know the history. Every single time Daniel Snyder runs off a really good piece of talent, coach, they find success with another team, right down to the point they go to a Super Bowl, or they go to some NFC or whatever championships or whatever, right? They go on to bigger and better things, right? So that lets you know that when it's all said and done, this is a problem with upper management. I'm looking at Tim Allen. Is it Tim Allen? Not Tim Allen. Bruce Allen. I knew it was Allen something. I wish it was Tim Allen. No, but I'm looking at Bruce Allen, who really has not done shit since he's been there in Washington. And I'm looking at Daniel Snyder. Until we are officially, done with these guys, or fire Bruce Allen and Daniel Snyder takes more of a hands-off approach, then and only then will Washington really be able to make the right type of moves and possibly get themselves in the position where, they may not be Super Bowl champions, but all right, they're making the playoffs here, and, okay, you got this going on. Okay, you got this good thing going on. But now it's up to Washington Redskins to be able to fucking deliver, man. But once again, congrats to the Nats winning the 2019 World Series. That is fantastic. All right, so that's going to do it. I appreciate those of you that had checked out this broadcast. What, about 2 hours? Time I edit this is actually going to be about maybe 2 hours and 4 minutes, because we had that dead false start there where you guys couldn't hear shit, right? I'm gonna actually edit that out. All right, so once again, we're gonna be live. We're gonna be talking about the Crown Jewel pay-per-view event, and also I got to give a shout out to my amigo Shaheen from Nuclear Graphics. I can't end the broadcast without saying this. So Shaheen is somebody I'm still relatively new getting to know, but you know, we're Twitter buddies and everything. And he's actually going to be coming out here to the DC metropolitan area during Starrcast weekend, because you know they're doing Starrcast in the Baltimore area, and that's not too far away from my neck of the woods. And shout out to Shaheem from Nuclear Graphics. He is actually he's got a great gig during Starrcast weekend. He's actually designed the Starrcast catalog. He's got some really cool artwork that's featured in the catalog. He's also going to be having a booth there Starrcast weekend. He's going to be selling some original art prints, and we'll probably do some stuff right there on the spot for you and everything. So if you're going to be at Starrcast weekend, he's definitely somebody you should be checking out and everything. But congrats to him, you know, from one artist to another. I was just ecstatic to hear that he was able to, you know, make some moves and, you know, Starrcast, AEW and all that, and boom, he got the spot that he was able to get and everything. You know, I love hearing that. That's great, because he is a talented fucking artist. And how talented, I mean, we've been around since 2011, and we've had some really great, kind artists that have helped us out in the past with some of our logo designs for some of our shows, whether it's the RCWR show logo, or it's with Wrestling with the Topics, or it's with 30 with Lee. I gotta give a shout out to Matt. Matt was like, for the longest time, one of our original go-to people for logo designs and all that. And then we had Andy Rocketeer. Andy is fucking phenomenal. Andy is still actually one of my favorite go-to guys and everything. And Shaheen is part of that next evolution for the RCWR show. I've already reached out to him, and I said, you know, I've been around for so many years, and I'm about ready for, you know, a slight facelift with some of our show logos and thumbnails, and when we do the OBS stream and everything, right? You know, I'm ready to give it some tweaks here. And he was like, shoot me your ideas. Let's see what we can do. So over the course of the next couple of weeks, you know, me and him are going to be collabing, and I can't wait to see what this guy is going to be able to do. I promise you, if you check out his work, you are going to be so fucking impressed. And I'm not saying that to suck his dick in any type of way. I just sincerely mean that. The guy is fucking phenomenal. Give the man a follow. He's on Twitter at Nuclear Heat Graphics. You can find him on Twitter at Nuclear Heat. Again, on Twitter at Nuclear Heat. And you can check out his website, nuclearheatshop.com. Again, nuclearheatshop.com. Phenomenal, very talented guy. Love him. Love his work. Good dude. So yeah, that is gonna do it on that note. I will be back with you guys for Crown Jewel. And for those of you that's going to be waiting to check this out for on-demand viewing, give me about 25 minutes, because I know this will be rendering. And once it's done rendering, I'm going to be making some quick edits to it, and then you guys will be able to enjoy it. Oh my God, Patreon shout out. Shout out to Sean Kenter, Justin Rubstock. Shout out to Tony Bing Gaming. Shout out to Michael Wolf. Shout out to John Davis. Shout out to Anthony Missionary Thomas from Wrestling Soup. Shout out to who am I missing? Shout out to John Krauser. I don't think I'm missing anybody else. I think that's everybody. If I missed you, I humbly apologize. Not bad for memory. But yeah, and shout out to everybody that's going to be checking this out on demand and on the downloads. I'd like to know what y'all had thought about NXT and AEW tonight. So sound off and let me know. But that's going to do it. I'm wishing all y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind of one another. I'll see you in a couple hours for Crown Jewel. Ta-ta for now. Adios.